You have product in your hair?
Yeah. What is this? The 80s where we have to lie about how we get our hair to look good?
Are you trying to look like Superman, like a little curl in the front?
No. I curled my whole head and everything's...
You curled your whole head. Well, that explains the facial expression. Gotcha.
Oh my God.
Welcome back to Capes, Cowls, and Conversations. We're a little bit late, but it's for a great cause since the new Daredevil trailer came out and some other things. So, a little bit of disappointment last weekend.
Yeah. Comic-Con.
Comic-Con, it's so crazy. We got 4 inches of snow and they shut it all down. And then Saturday, the roads were completely clear and there was no reason to shut it down.
It wasn't even really. I mean, it was 4 inches, I guess, but it wasn't. It didn't really block anybody from driving.
No, it was totally 4 inches of snow. I went out and measured it, but the roads were clear as could be. It's too bad that it got canceled. Sad for that. But we move on. We still have a show to do, and even though everything we were going to talk about is lost, we have some cool things to talk about. So
we have a couple of things.
First off, I think you lead with that Daredevil trailer. How excited are you? I'm thrilled.
I am. Oh my God. I am. That show should never have gotten canceled. Like that was my biggest disappointment is when season 3 ended and then they didn't do another season.
Yeah, I don't understand at all. In fact, all of the Netflix shows, in my opinion, I know that that's not a popular opinion, but I liked all of them. I disliked the most the ending of Power Man. Luke Cage.
Him taking over. Well,
him becoming the criminal leader instead of, and not following up on it.
So it's funny. He and Falcon switched roles in the MCU. They're not like that in the comics. Luke Cage is originally from Louisiana, and Falcon is from Harlem. He's the hero of Harlem. And in the show, Luke is from New York, the hero of Harlem, taking over. He takes over the mob boss thing at the end. Falcon never does that, but that's where they left Luke off. But he's originally from Louisiana, and then he joins like the Avengers and the Heroes for Hire. He joins, but he stays a hero. He's never been a mob boss, so that's interesting to me. Whereas Falcon is now from Louisiana, and he's kind of an Avenger, but now he's kept not really. Like he left the Avengers. They left him in a weird spot in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, in my opinion.
Well, okay.
But anyway, that's another topic, but and all like Punisher and Jessica Jones are apparently coming. Well, Punisher is coming back. Jessica Jones might be coming back.
He's in the trailer.
Yeah, the first appearance of White Tiger in the MCU is in this show. It'll be the dad though, not the daughter.
Okay. I actually wondered that. All I saw was the mask. I didn't.
Yeah, it is White Tiger, but he's in. I think it's the origin story of his death to possibly giving the daughter the role later.
That makes sense.
And then Wilson Fisk, weird spot, right? Like he's the mayor of New York now.
Well, there's that. He also looked like he trimmed up a little bit.
Yeah, but
he looks powerful now, not just like a big fat guy walking around. Which I get the comics; he's kind of just a big fat guy, but he looks powerful now.
Yeah.
I was like, ooh, he looks brutal. And the conversation they're having at the table
is so interesting.
Oh my gosh, it was interesting.
Daredevil quit. I think that's going to be addressed in the show though. Because last we saw him, he was fighting Echo. And before that, he was with She-Hulk. And those aren't canon. So I'm wondering how we got from
there to
I quit. And something bad happened, and I'm wondering how we went from Hawkeye and Echo, where Kingpin is a crime boss, to he's now the mayor of New York. Like,
there's a lot of exciting stuff, I think, there. 5 different Daredevil masks, at least. I assume there's full suits that go with those masks.
so there are. The black one is the one I'm most excited for.
Well, I was excited for them all.
I'm excited for them
Less
all.
for the yellow one because we saw it in She-Hulk, and it's the one that did make me think they were going to take him campy. But
I like
but
the yellow
all of
one
them,
for
really.
the context of it, for the way they contextualized it in She-Hulk, even though I don't like She-Hulk. But well, I like the actress for She-Hulk. I don't like the show though. They could have done better. They could have done way better. But the way they use the suit was fine. And I actually did like the hallway scene joke where he starts to do the hallway fight, and then she just comes in and wrecks it at the end.
Yeah,
that was pretty funny. But
again, that made me think they were going to take it campy.
and
And then you see this trailer, and it's like, whoa, this may be darker than the Netflix version of the show.
they broke some dude's arm in the trailer, and it
you
started
saw
to
the
bleed.
bone coming through the skin.
Bone comes through, and then you see him bleed.
Oh
through
my
it.
gosh,
Yeah, I was
it
like,
looks
brutal.
gruesome. It looks brutal.
I do hope they keep Daredevil's more acrobatic nature from She-Hulk, because he is more like that in the comics. They didn't really do that in the original series. He was a great fighter, but he's kind of Nightwing when it comes to acrobatics.
Okay.
So I do hope they keep that, because that was actually kind of cool to see it incorporated into his fighting style in She-Hulk. So there are some things I'm hoping they keep in the more modern MCU stuff that they've put him in, but I hope they keep the tone. So far, I like the tone. They should keep the tone.
I agree. I was really excited to see that one.
I am very excited to see the return of a lot of different characters, though. Apparently, Luke Cage might return as well.
I would be fine with that. I've been watching Mike Coulter on Evil, watching the seasons of Evil, which I just love watching him act. He does a really good job in every role that he plays, but I particularly like Power Man. So
each show kind of got nixed at the worst time, right? Like they set off Luke Cage for a very interesting season 3. They set off
Iron
Fist for a very interesting season 3 and a spinoff.
Right.
A really cool spinoff.
And then it's gone.
And then it's gone. And Daredevil left off in a place where you could get a season 4, but you didn't necessarily need a season 4, but I would have liked to see it because they finally introduced Bullseye into the canon. So that would have been fun.
Well, and he's back. He's in the trailer.
Oh, he isn't. Yeah. Yes. So I am excited to see what they do with him. Jessica Jones.
I do think this is a real season 4, even though they're calling it Daredevil Born Again, and they're not really. Well, they're loosely saying, but I think it really truly is a season 4.
There actually is a controversy around it with the writing staff being upset because it is technically season 4, but they renamed it so they didn't have to update their contracts, which.
I don't care about that.
Kind of crappy, but I mean, at the same time, I would prefer getting the show than not getting the show. So it sucks, and I feel bad for him, but at the same time, you still have a job. I don't know.
Right. I mean, look, it's great. I'm really excited about the direction, the tone. It definitely alleviated my fears of campiness, and I don't care if there's comedy in it. It doesn't have to be just
there
dark.
Was comedy in the original
right.
series.
There doesn't have to just be dark, but his appearance on She-Hulk just made me think, oh, they're gonna Disney this thing, and they definitely are not Disneying.
Well, they are
this thing.
Apparently they originally tried, and it was so hated that they had to completely rewrite the show from the ground up.
Well, I'm glad they did.
So, and that was a good choice. And reconnecting it to the old shows was also a good choice, because if they completely rebooted with the same cast, I don't think anybody would really want to follow it.
Probably not.
It would be really hard to convince people to come back to it. It'd be like if you rebooted Arrow right now, and I don't think anyone could. I don't think anyone can come back to it because Stephen Amell has aged a lot.
Sure.
It looks different.
Sure.
If you tell him he's got to play the role funny, I don't think that would be.
He never was capable of funny.
Yeah.
I liked him, but he was never capable of funny.
It would not be the same show, and I would not come back to it. It'd be really hard for me to come back to. But, yeah, so that's Daredevil.
That being said, yeah, let's move on because you brought up Sam Wilson, and apparently the post-credit scene, one of the two post-credit scenes for Captain America has leaked. I haven't seen it, but I've read about it. Damn. You missed it. I'm going to get to break the news.
I didn't even know.
They are mimicking the very first post-credit scene from Iron Man, where Nick Fury comes to Anthony Mackie with a series of folders of potential Avengers.
Didn't we already do that in the Marvels?
I don't know, but this is
that's Miss Marvel went to Kate Bishop.
Well, she was, yes,
yeah, and did the whole Nick, yeah.
But this is the Nick Fury actually going to Anthony Mackie and saying, "Here's some potentials for a new lineup." This is supposed to start the Doctor Doom. This is supposed to start the Doctor Doom resistance.
So that's I don't know how I feel about that.
I'm excited about it
because they're also
bring it back around.
Well, I was gonna say they're also not doing Young Avengers; they're doing the Champions, which I don't know if you. I mean, it's similar.
It's Young Avengers. It's just not called Young Avengers.
Well, yeah,
it's early 20s Avengers.
But apparently they're gonna do it as a show, and I don't know if I agree with that.
I don't care.
That's. I don't know. Ensemble cast TV shows that are only 6 to 8 episodes long. That was probably the worst thing that Netflix did. Well,
maybe they'll treat it more like Daredevil and give it 19 episodes. Because
Daredevil is
because you say that, but we were sitting there asking for the Arrowverse to collapse into one show and be a Justice League show with an ensemble cast. Right. I would be okay with it, given the Arrowverse would have been a 22 episode series. If you give them the right amount of episodes, I think it can be fine.
Yeah, that's fair. I think though, for me, like, first of all, Daredevil's not even technically 2 seasons. I know they said they gave it 8, they gave it 19 episodes. They did, but it's technically all shot at once. It's 1 season split into 2 parts.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. Again,
I wish it was just
lots of people are doing that. Stranger Things did that.
I know. I don't like that trend. It's been going on since Netflix started.
Well, but really, if you think about it, that's how network TV has always done it. You've kind of had a fall part of a season, and then you take a break at Christmas because they don't get the ratings at Christmas, and you don't come back until February because nobody's watching in December and January, and then you get the second half of the season. True. It's just that we're not used to seeing it from a streaming platform that way.
Yeah, but they also take like a year or 2 to release the episodes. That's like insane.
I understand. I'm just saying it's just that it's coming from a different platform than you're used to. But everything you watched as a kid split the season in half.
True. Always. That's true. There are times where some shows get like paused for a while and then they have to come back.
Yeah, it's just a change in the medium is all it is. You're not used to seeing that from a streaming platform.
True.
But I am kind of excited about it. I am excited for them to get back to some mirroring at least some of the successful things that were done in the early stages of the MCU. If that means bringing in and reshooting that between Sam and Nick Fury versus Sam and Tony Stark, I'm okay with it because it feels familiar, and I just want them to get back to doing the fun stuff.
Yeah, I think we did the phase 1 in phase 2, phase 4 and phase 5 for too long, like too many solo projects leading up to bigger stuff that never really leads up to any bigger stuff because we're way too focused on introducing new stuff.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see some of the other post-credit scenes coming up because one of the most memorable ones for me was when Thanos was like, "Fine, I'll do it myself." And that's a 3-second post-credit scene, but all of a sudden you're like, "Holy crap, he's real! It's gonna happen!"
That one actually always confused me.
I just loved it.
I get it, but I mean, like, because I know Ronan was collecting the stones, but that implied that Ultron was also working for Thanos because he's like,
I just read Ultron's coming back for Vision.
Yes, he is. That was announced a while ago, so I'm actually really excited for that. Because
and they brought James Spader back. They're not just bringing the character back, but they're bringing the actual voice back. And I love James Spader. Have for years.
Did you hear how they're doing it? Because
tell me.
apparently he's going to be like a human version of Ultron. And probably slowly devolve back into being a robot at some point.
So he managed to download himself before he got wiped from the internet. Is that what they're going to say?
I have no idea.
That'll
All
be
I know
interesting.
is that they're having James Spader play a human Ultron.
I don't know if you've ever gone back and watched. You can go on Disney Plus actually and watch Boston Legal.
Mm-hmm.
And James Spader and William Shatner are the stars of Boston Legal.
Yeah.
And he is so fun to watch. His personality just comes through in that show. Especially with William Shatner.
I am still on the side that Ultron should be devoid of personality.
No, I know. I get that. I'm just saying you'll like James Spader more as an actor watching something like Boston Legal.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
No, I love him as an actor. I think he did a great job on Ultron. I think the writing for Ultron overall was crap, but Spader did a great job.
I've always said I don't think it's the actor. I think it's the writers. I think the actors do the best they can with what they're given, and then
So give Boston Legal a chance. You'll love it. It's like a semi funnier version of Suits.
Okay.
And also it came first. Suits is like a knockoff of Boston Legal. How about that?
I mean, does it have a Harvey Specter though?
Yeah. James Spader.
Okay.
James Spader is the Harvey Specter.
Gotcha. All right.
So
let's give it a try.
It doesn't have a Mike Ross, but Shatner is the playoff for James Spader, and he's really good at that role. You'll love it.
Fair enough.
I feel like there was one other news.
So I got two more things.
Okay, tell me.
So tomorrow, I'm excited. You're probably not, but Fortnite's doing a Godzilla crossover where you get to fight Godzilla on the map while fighting other players, and then once you kill him, you become Godzilla. You become Godzilla. You become a giant version of Godzilla that attacks the map. It's like the Doctor Doom season. So there's that. That's pretty awesome. And they're doing the same thing with Kong too. So you'll have you'll be able to become Kong as well and fight each other.
That is so exciting.
You're like, no.
I mean, it's relevant. Fortnite is about the best comic crossover video game because they cross over everything. But I don't care about being Godzilla.
I'm excited. I think it'd be fun. I think it'd be challenging. The season's been pretty fun overall for season 6.
I haven't hated the
season chapter 6. I've liked the first season of it. OG is the only thing I haven't been a big fan of.
I heard OG's taken back to 12 players on the map.
Yeah, at the beginning. So it's based on your level. The more you play, the less bots are on the map.
I mean, that should be.
But I don't like OG. It's too empty right now, and I don't like playing in builds. So even if I did, it wouldn't be fun.
Yeah, I know a lot of people have loved the OG because they love the map. I actually like the bigger islands. I like the changing locations. Well, if you play, I'm not hung up on Tilted Towers for my whole life.
Well, Tilted Towers isn't in
I'm just saying, everybody's
season.
Like, oh, Tilted Towers.
Yeah, it's coming back next season.
Cares?
People are actually really excited for it. I'm not. I don't care. The map is too open for 0 builds, so it's not fun. You literally, someone could be on a hill, you can't see them.
There's things that wasn't designed for 0 builds to begin with. So there are places that if you fall, you can't get back up because you can't build if you play a 0 build version of it.
It's just not fun, so I don't play it. But yeah, and then the other thing is, and this is another thing you don't care about. It's more video game news.
I'm good with it.
But Marvel Rivals is just released Reed Richards and Sue Storm last week, which is pretty fun.
Okay. That lines up with the movie coming out this year.
Yeah, and the Thing and Human Torch come out next month, so I'm excited for that too.
Cool.
And then on the 30th, they're doing a new Spider-Man skin that is designed after the Marvel Spider-Man video game. So he's got the white spider. It's the advanced 2.0 suit from Spider-Man 2. So that's pretty cool. I'm pretty excited for those things too. That's actually pretty nice. That's pretty much it for video game news. I don't really know anything else. It's kind of
okay. Well, that gets us into the actual topic for today: going Commando. I mean, Creature Commandos. Your face just was like, what the heck?
So this show's good, but it's weird because I like it, but I don't like all of it.
Yeah, so I hated the first 3 episodes. I don't think we feel the same about it. I hated the first 3 episodes. I liked the final 4 episodes of the show. Mm-hmm. I don't understand its place at all.
Well, so that's kind of the thing. There is no placement right now. James Gunn isn't building to a big grand story.
Yeah, I know.
So
I know, but I don't understand the place of this show. Like, it seemed really pointless.
It's weird,
even though I enjoyed it.
It references, so it's right after Peacemaker, which there's a character in there that you don't know because you've never watched Peacemaker, but unless you finished Black Adam, and then you probably know who he is. But John Economos, or
I finished Black Adam.
Yeah, so he's the guy with the red hair in this show. He's in Peacemaker. Peacemaker's pretty good. But
as John Cena, it can't be that good.
It's really good. It's actually better than this show. Like, I actually prefer Peacemaker to this show. Mainly because the cast is, first of all, none of the cast members die at all. So I feel like that's more interesting than killing like half the cast and leaving one beaten and broken till Superman, because Rick Flag Sr. is going to be in Superman. So that, I don't know. And honestly, I didn't really like that Rick just gets knocked out of the show like halfway through the season.
Well, so let's talk about the season. We'll do this just like we did.
Yeah, so let's start with episode 1.
Just like we did with What If.
So episode 1 establishes that Task Force X is shut down after, was it Suicide Squad or Peacemaker? Whichever one that her daughter outs her. I think it was Peacemaker, but it might be the Suicide Squad. Either way, Task Force X is shut down. That already is something that I am not a big fan of, because you have immediately killed all possibilities of the Suicide Squad coming back.
I mean, Creature Commandos is just Suicide Squad with monsters.
Yeah, but I don't find it as interesting. Maybe I mean it's kind of interesting, but it's not something that when it comes to the movies they're probably going to be able to use very often, because that's going to cost a lot for all the characters that are going to be CGI'd, unless they plan to do makeup for a couple of them, like the Bride. But that was another thing. The Bride taking over the team was...
We're not there.
Oh, yeah.
Episode 1.
Yeah, sorry. Okay.
Episode 1.
So they immediately established that. They have Rick take the team to Pokolistan. And then their mission is to protect the princess
from Cersei and the sons of Themyscira.
And that first episode really just doesn't have a lot of meat to it.
It didn't.
It's literally just there to introduce us to all the characters and Rick, and then basically have Rick be, told about his son, or I guess he knew about his son, to establish to us, the audience, that the Suicide Squad is canon.
It's canon, yeah.
So that I don't know. It was fine. It was just the first episode. Didn't really do anything.
It also, for better or worse, it also sets up the Frankenstein part of the show.
Oh,
which didn't quite.
Oh, wait, that was episode 2.
No, the end of episode 1. The person calls Frankenstein and lets him know the bride has returned to her birthplace.
Oh, yeah. Okay, that was the end of the first episode. Yeah. Then episode 2 is the bride's episode, and that was a good episode. I see what you mean about the...
You could imply the stuff that happens between the scientist and the bride without going into the graphic sex of it. And I mean, that to me was just... This story has actually been done so many times outside of DC, the Frankenstein, Bride of Frankenstein story has been done.
Yeah.
That people know. You don't need to see the scientist and the bride having sex because people know the story.
Yeah, I hear you. I get it.
So that's why I say it was gratuitous.
It wasn't necessary, but I mean at the same time, it like the way you described it originally, I was like, oh my God, okay, so it's gonna be like 2 minutes of annoyance, but then it just kind of flashes through it, and that didn't. I mean,
and then you follow that up with Rick Flag Sr. and
that was before
Rostovic, same episode,
but that was before that.
But that's
that was even
like,
more
like we got to throw more sex into this show, and I'm like. It's a cartoon, and all of this literally could be implied. You don't have to show it.
Yeah, I did think it was funny though that when Phosphorus was covering for him. That was so stupid, but at the same time kind of funny. And it was good. It was still a good episode. I did like the story behind it. Then was it episode 2 or 3 where Circe finally gets introduced? I think it's 3. That's the other thing.
I want to say it was episode 3.
With this show being 22 minutes per episode, it really could have just been an animated movie.
Yeah, it happened really quick.
I kind of wish it was an animated movie. That way we don't have to talk about it as a TV show. We could talk, it'd be much easier.
Well, let's just talk through it then.
Yeah,
it's fine.
So
we'll move on.
Circe gets introduced, and
episode 3 is the GI robot episode.
Yeah, so Circe finally really gets, I think, introduced in 2, and I didn't like. I mean, okay, so I do think she would plan to take over Themyscira with the Sons of Themyscira. I do think she would do that, but I didn't like that our first introduction to her, she's like chomping down on food and burping and being like at that. That was weird. Like, I don't think she would do that just from the characterization that she's had for like the last like 50 years. Like, that's just a weird thing to me. But otherwise, I mean, her appearance in the show is still fun, and it has probably the trippiest scene in the entire show. And I love that she was right, but they didn't call it out that way. That the way they treated that was kind of cool. But
you're jumping all the way to the end.
Not necessarily. I'm not going to talk about it yet, but I do like the way they handled that. That was cool. So episode 3, GI Robot, great episode.
It was. I really thought GI Robot was a stupid addition to the show in episode 1. And then I watched the episode 3, which is basically his origin story weaved into it. And it's such a good episode. I actually did, like, if I could care less about the gratuitous sex and all of that stuff that was going on for 3 episodes, the GI Robot part of the episode was actually really good.
It was so sad. I love that we set up the Metalmen, by the way. I'm so excited. I don't know if you know.
I actually don't know who that is.
So the guy who takes him and splits him in half, and it's like, so he creates a team called the Metalmen, and they're robots based on different metals. And it's a cool concept, and I hope they further that one, because that movie was actually in production for a while, and James Gunn has already said that he loves those characters, so he may actually do that movie again, bring it back on the table, but it was taken off the table like a while ago. But that would be a fun movie. And this one set it up, so I think that'd be kind of cool. And then it's so sad. He goes from team to team. It's sad that he goes from Sergeant Rock to them being experimented on to just being locked away in a museum to then he finally gets a friend, and that friend ends up being a commie Nazi. Yeah, it's like, it's like that's so rough. The whole show. The joke about like wanting to kill Nazis, like, it's weird at first, but it's got so much meaning to it once you like really learn more about the character. And
I enjoyed GI Robot's character. I almost flashed to the end of the show myself there for a second. I caught myself.
His relationship with Nina was pretty well built up till that episode, and then killing him at the end was a little. The end of that episode was a little. It was hard. That was actually pretty rough to watch.
Wow.
then they capture. The thing is, they capture Circe really quickly. I don't know if they should have used Circe for that, but I know they used it just for the scene in episode 4 where she shows us the future.
Mm-hmm.
So I get it, but also it's kind of frustrating that that's the character they picked because she is a very powerful character, and you made
there's not really an equivalent powerful character on Task Force M.
No,
really, but somehow they capture her.
Yeah, I mean, Phosphorus is probably the only character that really could have like stood a chance just because of his powers, but and then he does beat her. He is technically the one that beats her, but having all the other characters there, I don't think. And Nina really doesn't do anything until the very end.
Yeah,
and even then,
I'm not sure Nina served a great purpose in the show, except for what we'll talk about at the end.
Then and that's episode 4. I mean, episode 4 is literally just that, and then the introduction to Clayface.
Well, no, episode 4 is also it's the Weasel origin story.
Oh yeah, that one almost made me cry too. That was rough. I kind of saw it coming though, the second they flashed to it, because it's like when they were like it was actually 8 children, and then they show the little scene like oh, and then oh my God. And they killed that was brutal. I didn't think they would show all of that. And then they showed all of it. And that was hard to watch. Like I almost turned it off because it was, but I mean, it needed to be at the same time for the emotions I was trying to convey. So I get it, but also like my stomach started to churn after a minute.
There were several scenes in the show, and episode 5 had another one of them that were kind of not disturbing, but like emotionally hard to watch. So episode 5 is when Eric Frankenstein is kind of being nursed back to health by the old woman and her dog. And at the end, right before he leaves in search of the bride, he kills the old woman, locks the dog out of the house so that the dog won't attack him.
I thought that was going to end so differently.
I did too. I thought he would just leave her there crying, and instead he killed her. And that was kind of hard to watch. It was sad.
That was painful.
But it also was indicative of the lack of emotion that his character is capable of feeling.
Yeah, like he wants to be in a relationship, but he is so emotionless, and how he just wants it for he
wants his bride. That's all he really cares about. I don't care about anything else on this planet, but I want my bride.
It really feels like he just wants someone to control. It's just like, because that's all he saw from Victor.
Yeah.
And he did, and it's so messed up. And then killing Victor was another scene like that. I mean, taking out the sex scene, that whole like build up to how that happens was hard to watch. Like even when she walks back in wearing the necklace, and then she sees that he killed it. Like that was rough to watch.
Yeah. Interesting use of Clayface.
Interesting use of Clayface. But I don't know if I want to talk about it till the end yet.
We're at episode 5 where they find out where Flag and Frankenstein fight Clayface.
So that was a weird thing. The scientist from 4 was Clayface in episode 5. The way they do it is convoluted, but also makes sense. So that's why I don't want to talk about it. But at the same time, I do like the fight scene. The fight scene was
pretty cool.
Yeah.
I did enjoy that fight scene.
And I hope, Clayface is getting his own show or movie. They are making.
It's not a Batman movie.
No, they're doing a Clayface project with the same actor, with Alan Tudyk. Also, Alan Tudyk played Phosphorus.
Can we say Sony?
I am interested. I think it's an origin story, which doesn't involve Batman originally. His origin story actually doesn't involve Batman. So if they do a good origin story with him, I think it could be a fun movie. Because his whole storyline is that he's an actor who gets like he's trying to look young forever. And so he has this like clay that he puts on his face to keep him young. or at least in the animated series. I don't know about the comics necessarily. I do prefer the animated series for most of the reimagining of origin stories, though. So if they keep that one, his whole thing is that he's an actor. He's keeping himself young, and then he gets thrown in by a gangster into a vat of it, and it turns him into clay. So
interesting. It's at least interesting.
Yeah, I think there could be. I think there is a warrant for that kind of movie if they do it right. Especially if they keep Alan Tudyk for the role. That would be. He's a fun actor, so I think they could do something with that. So, but yeah, I'm interested. Episode 6.
6, Dr. Phosphorus origin story
was also insanely rough to watch. I think after a while, I was like, "Oh my god, was this just an excuse to show how dark these origin stories are?" Because they're brutal, and I mean, they did a great job, but at the same time, like, I had to stop. I had to pause it, and at this one, they were got to the point of killing the family again, and I had to turn it off. I had to go take a minute and just like binge watching the show was kind of a mistake because of how depressing it can get with the origin stories.
Yeah. But this was a good one.
It was a good one. First appearance, Batman.
Yeah, which was controversial. We talked about that the other day. I don't think we've published that, but we talked about it.
It was controversial. I don't really get it being controversial because, again, it was just a silhouette. They can do, and it was
a silhouette, but it looks like super bulky Batman or fat old Batman, or there's something about him that just seems off compared to other drawings of Batman in the past.
He didn't look fat, but he did look bulky. He looked more like animated series Batman, where he's got a big like wrestler build. And not fat, like Dwayne Johnson big. So I don't hate that because his whole thing is that he's supposed to be peak physical human in the comics. But who do you get to play that? Like, you need someone who has that build, but also can act like Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, that would be tough.
That is a really hard thing to pull off, and I think the closest they got was Ben Affleck in look.
I was gonna say I think he doesn't look the part in the face, and he doesn't have the voice for it. But I think you could Vin Diesel that if he didn't have his gravelly voice.
Yeah,
that would be weird. But he's like peak physical condition, and he can come off like a playboy.
Yeah, I
unfortunately
think I don't think he. Well, he's kind of too old at this point.
But there's not very many people. You're 100% right. There's not very many people who can pull off both peak physical condition and
also
the
Bruce Wayne aspect of it all, where he's like playboy, billionaire, douchebag.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, there was Robert Downey Jr. who wasn't peak physical condition.
No, but he's got the personality of a playboy, and that you need that because Bruce is the mask.
You need Robert Downey Jr. to put on 30 pounds of muscle, just pure muscle.
Yeah, but then like that's the weird part because you gotta remember Robert Downey Jr. is he's not supposed to be like that the whole time. His whole personality is Batman.
No, I know,
so you need someone who can actually play Batman, but also fake the playboy personality without making it look fake because it's gotta be real doing it.
So
I think Christian Bale's the closest to getting the personality.
I agree with you on that.
The Bruce Wayne personality was probably the best.
I don't think Christian Bale was so bad. I think the direction of make your voice gravelly and more so every movie. I think that was retarded.
I think the realistic approach to Batman is what turned me off of it. It started out interesting, but then they took it too far. Like the Batmobile doesn't even look like the Batmobile. It's just a tank.
It's just a tank. Well, it's really a ATV or something.
Yeah, but it doesn't. It's a military vehicle. They made Batman too much of a militant character, and he's not.
I mean, to be fair, a real Batman would probably be in more of an ATV than he would be in a Lamborghini, souped up Lamborghini.
Fair, but like it's supposed to be a sports car. not.
I'm saying that's not realistic for what he would use it for.
It's a sports car with with bulletproof glass, and
I know, but what they did makes more sense actually.
I mean, he's also a billionaire, so he can do anything. He can get away with it.
What's funny is we've spent more time on this half-second appearance of Batman because it literally, you blink and you miss it.
I know, right?
Is how much he's there.
But
the rest of the episode basically sets up the final attack on Pokolistan by Task Force M.
So Task Force M gets sent back to Pokolistan because they believe Cersei when she says that the blonde lady, that the princess is going to destroy the world, and through her flashback. And this is where things get weird because they do that little tease, like they saw Clay. Well, they don't show you. I hate that because but you know it's Clayface. But they show that little scene on the screen and blocks Clayface. And like if it was live action and her face was in front of it and it wasn't like just blurry for no reason. That would have worked for me, but just cutting it off and you can still see the feet. Like it's still the same design. Like I'm not stupid.
Right.
So when the reveal finally came that Clayface
was meeting with the princess
to fake being the lady after the lady tells everyone that Cersei is telling the truth because she's clairvoyant.
Yeah.
It
was a great twist. It's a great twist. So basically, you have Cersei making this prediction. You have the scientist McPherson backing up Cersei. And then you have the princess having Clayface go kill McPherson and impersonate her so that it looks like McPherson was lying because it was Clayface the whole time, so that you believe that the princess is not going to start World War III and destroy the world, but really she's going to, and she was using Clayface to make Cersei, to discredit Cersei.
Yeah.
It's kind of a convoluted little plot, but when you watch the episode, it works.
Yeah.
I thought it was a great twist.
It was
I thought it was a really good twist because I, for once, did not see that coming.
Yeah.
I actually saw the Rick Flag finding out that it was Clayface coming. I'm like, okay, they're gonna find out that it's not true.
Yeah,
she's not really starting World War III, and then it's like a double twist there at the end. Like, oh yeah, she actually is, and Cersei wasn't lying. So it was kind of a cool twist on it.
Yeah. So episode 6 doesn't really have a lot of substance. I mean, other than Dr. Phosphorus and the strip club scene. Or whatever, the brothel. The
brothel scene.
Yeah. I mean, it was it gave more character development for Nina and the bride, which is important for the final episode. And then episode 7 did actually make me cry.
Episode 7 had some great payoffs.
Episode 7 made me cry, and I'm not even talking about the main plot.
Nina origin story.
The Nina origin story hurt my soul.
The Nina origin story was really sad.
The mom leaving was painful at first, and then I was like, okay, well, obviously he's gonna mutate her. Saw that coming, but then they kill him in front of her. She can't breathe, so she can't even say anything.
She can't even scream out about it. She can't say that's my dad, don't kill him, because she's in open air and can't breathe. Yeah, so she just has to watch her dad die in front of her. That was really, really sad.
Oh my God, that hurt. Yeah, that was rough. I
will admit also I did not see Frankenstein's death coming.
Yeah, that was funny.
Like, I thought there would be some kind of fight between them or some kind of something, but he pops up in the window and boom, 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 you're dead.
Can I just say, though, he is David Harbour's acting is so good. Like, he pulls off the I thought because they casted David Harbour, it was going to be very samey to Red Guardian and be very annoying to listen to.
Yeah, no, it was completely different.
It was completely different. And it was in character because he was like monologuing like Frankenstein would in in the book.
I actually found it enjoyable, and I don't love David Harbour.
No.
I don't even really honestly love him in Stranger Things. He's kind of annoying to me across the board.
He started out really interesting, and I think they did some really annoying things.
But as Frankenstein, he was actually very enjoyable as Frankenstein for the little bits you get him.
Yeah.
Tell her about me. Tell her about you didn't tell her about me.
All the modern day talk for him was funny, but they did the long monologues of like depression, and that was so fun. So stupid and funny, but I love it.
Yeah, I definitely it definitely is a project with David Harbour that I could tolerate.
And
it just ended so quickly.
Killing him was weird, but I do think they might bring him back if they find a reason to. Like they didn't technically.
I don't think he technically can die that way, but he did die.
It was funny, and honestly, I think it works because, of course, why would she believe him about anything Rick says? Like,
yeah,
it was good. Nina dying,
and then like I said, we saw the double twist thing.
Yeah.
Yes, Nina dying was sad.
I was conflicted because on one hand I'm like, okay, for the story to progress on the bride, it makes sense. And actually, I really like how she kills the princess. I love her going back in there and being like, I know you did this. I know it was you. But I'm not killing you because I give a crap about the world. I'm not killing you because I'm ordered to. You killed my best friend.
Right.
And then just shoots her.
Right.
That was
which kind of makes sense from a Frankenstein, because she's Bride of Frankenstein. Mm-hmm. It makes sense from a Frankenstein level. What it doesn't make sense is she sent Nina in there to kill the princess, and that's how Nina died. So it's really her fault. Because she told Nina, you're the only one who can kill the princess. You have to be the one to do it. So Nina goes to do it because of her and then gets killed in the process. It's her fault that it happened.
Yeah.
So a bit of a twist there for her to then be like, you killed my best friend. Well, you sent your best friend to kill me. What did you want me to do? Die?
Well, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, I get it. Man, if only the guard had gotten to her just like 5 seconds.
Just
sooner.
a second. But Nina, I didn't see as someone who was going to provide a lot of value in future seasons. And there is a season 2 coming because they've already shown the team for the next season.
Yeah. So Task Force M is now more of a superhero team that's run by technically DC Shield, is the way I see it. Just because it's not really the Suicide Squad anymore. They have their own
It's
wing.
a Suicide Squad.
Yes.
Made up of monsters. Still is that.
But they're not really prisoners as much anymore, as much as they just have their own space to live in where they get to be a team. Which is a little weird because I don't feel like Amanda Waller is that nice of a character to do something like that.
Yeah, it feels a little out of character for her.
But
which makes me think they all still have the chips in their head anyway.
Well, probably. And I do see my favorite characterization of Amanda Waller is in the Justice League TV show where where it's revealed that she created Terry McGinnis. I don't like spoiling epilogue, but I'm going to do it because it's a really great episode. But
what?
Of Justice League Unlimited.
Who does what?
So Amanda Waller, Batman's getting old. And a character in the Batman mythos is about to die and destroy the world. And she's like, let's send in like people to kill her. Like they have a plan to kill her. And Batman's like, no, I'm going to do it. And he goes in and he takes the thing that would kill her and throws it away and just sits with her until she dies from an aneurysm.
Yeah, I read about that the other day.
Very, very good episode. And then
she's kind of Scarlet Witch-ish.
Yeah. So her name's Ace. And when Bruce leaves, Amanda Waller realizes that they need a Batman. They need someone who can just go in, sit with a child, and deal with that situation by just letting them pass. And so she grabs a bit of Bruce's DNA and injects it into Terry's dad. And then Terry has
Terry actually is related to Bruce.
He is,
I think I knew that at one point.
Yeah, he is officially Bruce's son by cloning through reproduction.
So he's Connor.
Sort of, except Connor wasn't born. He was actually grown in a lab.
Gotcha.
So Terry was actually born. He still has his mother's DNA, just not his father's, because they put Bruce's DNA into him.
Gotcha.
And so that is a cool thing for Amanda Waller, is that she would prep for something like that. And it is interesting. It's very in character because it's a violation of human rights, like in general. Because the way they do it is they inject it into him using a flu shot. They like have him go in to get a flu shot and they inject it, and it's unethical, but at the same time, it's like it's in character and it is something that she would do. So I don't necessarily think this is out of character, but it is a little weird that this early in the DCU we're treating her like this. So
gotcha.
The character setup are King.
I'll read them off.
Okay, you have the list, because I'm gonna have to go by memory.
So the Bride, Dr. Phosphorus, Nosferatu, Khalees, the mummy, the Weasel, King Shark, and a completely rebuilt GI robot.
So
will be the season 2 Task Force M.
I like the way that it ends off with those characters, but also I don't know that it needs a season 2.
And James Gunn said, and I quote, "I'm real excited to see what we do with Khalees because I'm not a mummy guy. I'm a werewolf guy. So I thought it would be cool to put Khalees in here and figure out what to do with a mummy." So
weird.
Yeah. Apparently he doesn't like mummies or the mummy movies, but he wanted
to give a shot at
it.
Yeah.
That being said, I did not watch the credits to see if there was a post-credit scene, and there was. So
I didn't see what?
Speaking of last things before we tie this show up, they tied up one other kind of loose end in the post-credit scene. And Eric Frankenstein recovers from the gunshot wounds and takes refuge with an old woman living next to Victor Frankenstein's mansion, the one that called at the beginning and told him that she was back at her.
I scrolled through the credits.
Well, you missed it. So he moved in with the old woman from the first episode who called him and said that the bride was back. So there you go. It's wrapped up with a tiny little bow. He's back to probably the next old woman that he's going to kill while he goes in search of the bride for season 2.
Okay. That's
so
interesting. I personally think this show's still pretty good. It's just...
It was worth watching. I didn't love the first 3 episodes, but it was worth watching.
It was worth watching. I just don't... I kind of wish there was... Like, I know he said he's not building to anything big, but I kind of wish there was a little bit of a plan. Instead of just throwing... Because I'm tired of Marvel doing that.
He could be lying.
He could be lying. I just don't... we've watched Marvel throw darts at a wall. So I don't really want to see DC do that for too long.
Well, I would say we did pretty good coming in here without a plan. So we're going to trust James Gunn to do whatever he's doing with his plan, because we were supposed to talk about Northwest Arkansas Comic-Con and instead we did this. If you liked what you heard today, like, share, subscribe. I usually say that at the beginning of the show. I totally forgot, but we need you to like, share, subscribe, ding the bell, click the follow. Cameron says punch Thanos in the face. Whatever you have to do to help get us more time on the air, more opportunities to be heard by a whole lot of other people. Apparently saying I am Groot will do that. But we appreciate you listening to us and look forward to doing this again next week.
Oh, and will you kill Nazis with me?
For sure.